What's up guys, today we're doing something a little different. Today I'm making the perfect ban list. Now what I mean by the perfect ban list is that I believe these are the bans to make Yu-Gi-Oh! Both the TCG, which is the physical card game, and Master Duel, the online card game. So there's gonna be a mixture of both. So obviously you have Baron here, which is banned in the TCG but is not banned in Master Duel. And I'll get to Baron in a second. But I'm going to be doing a mixture of both the TCG and Master Duel and combining them to make the perfect ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to be talking about the OCG just a tad bit, but we're mainly going to be talking about the TCG and Master Duel here. I'm not going to be talking about every single ban. I'm going to be talking about bans that we need and unlimits we need to make Yu-Gi-Oh! Perfect. Starting off with, like I said earlier, Baron I think Baron should stay banned in both Master Duel and TCG, and I hear some people in the OCG also want Baron banned because generic monster unfun, blah, no one wants that. Same thing goes for Warlord Savage, also ban that. Now since we're talking about generic monsters, I also have Appaloosa here. Now Appaloosa, I think she's fine. I think she's fine on unlimited, even though she's still generic. I think she's much more easier to deal with, especially like in the TCG, and I've been playing that a lot lately. In Master Duel, she's not even that annoying. Obviously Appaloosa is bad, but Change of Heart, Triple Tactics Talents, all great cards and all cards that are very much used. Triple Tactics Talents mainly used a lot. You can easily just snatch her away, and she's not that big of a deal, especially if you have like something like Kurikar. She activates her effect one time. Kurikar, White Woman jump scare. Pretty easy. And plus I kind of like Appaloosa, so that's a little bias for me. I could totally see getting banned, and I would totally be fine with getting it banned, but I think we should have at least some generic bond sponsors. I think Appaloosa is fine being a generic bond sponsor because she's not an omni negate, she's just a monster negate. Next up is Calamity. Now Calamity is banned in Master Duel. He got banned recently, but in the TCG he's not banned. Even though he's not doing too much in the TCG, he's no fun to deal with, so just get him banned because if they get to him, they get to him. It's just an unfun game state. Along with Gimmick Pip Lock, I don't know how much it is in Master Duel because I haven't been playing Branded a lot, and plus Branded's a lot weaker in Master Duel, but in the TCG it's really good. So I put it in banned just because Gimmick Puppet Lock not fun to play against, and I don't think anyone likes playing against this, and even Branded players don't even like using this. They just use it because Snake Eyes exist, and they don't want to be a coughing baby versus a nuclear bomb, so they have to put Gimmick Puppet Lock here. But overall I think it's an unfun thing to play against, and it's unfun for even the person playing with it, so just ban it. No one wants it. Next up is Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, he's amazing. Like, he's a really good card. I think you would have to ban Predator Plant for Master Duel, have him, but unlimit him, give it to us in Master Duel. Like, I love playing Dark Magician, and Master Duel I feel like is one of the few games of few forms of Yu-Gi-Oh where you can play these like anime like decks, and not having Red Eyes Dark Dragoon in the game after what, years and years of not releasing this. Like, this card is just fun. Just release it to us, give it to us, ban Predator Plant, ban whatever you need for Red Eyes Dark Dragoon to come out, because he's honestly just a fun card to play with, and not having it in Master Duel is so unfun. Like, I want to play a Dark Magician deck, and not having Dark Magician's best boss monster kinda sucks. So Yu-Gi-Oh, get on that. Now, how I talked about earlier about how I was going to talk about the OCG ban list? I think I have to bring up Maxx C, because in the OCG they just got a Maxx C Light, a more fair Maxx C with the that little jellyfish. Pretty much it's just a way more fair Maxx C, where pretty much what it does is that at the end of the turn, if you have to have the same amount of hands drawn as the amount of monsters on their field, something crazy like that. I'm not very into detail with it, but they have both Maxx C, the regular Maxx C, and Maxx C Light. And I think if they created Maxx C Light, so why not ban the original Maxx C? Because at that point you're admitting that the original Maxx C is a little too broken. So if I'm the OCG, I ban Maxx C, and some people are gonna hate it, but at least you have a backup version of Maxx C. But if they don't ban Maxx C, it's like, why'd you create the backup version of Maxx C? It doesn't really make any sense. So ban Maxx C, and hopefully that jellyfish gets into the Master Duel and they ban Maxx C finally. Before I was a Maxx C sympathizer, but I lose too many matches to Maxx C, so just ban it at this point. I'm just jumping all around here, so let me get into the more grit details. Even though I talked about some of the generic stuff, I want to talk about some of the Snake Eyes stuff, so let's bring the Snake Eyes stuff a little forward. Now first off, the TCG and Master Duel probably will keep Snake Eyes for a little bit longer, but the TCG is making drastic measures to when it comes to Snake Eyes, because Snake Eyes, they tried killing it with banning Baron de Fleur and Savage Dragon. Even though those are really good bans, it didn't really stop the deck because now they just use Link monsters, and with Fiend Smith coming around, like, it's not gonna look good for the future. Now, first off, limit Snake Eyes Ash. They did that in the Master Duel already. I'm pretty sure, right? It's limited to 1, which is a great limit. You know, kill the consistency a little bit. Next up, we go into, you know, the broken cards. Now, Wanted is banned. Wanted is limited in both the OCG and Master Duel. Now, what they could do is ban this card. Now, do I suggest that? No. I think limiting it, like how they have Master Duel and OCG, is good. It's fine. It works out. Now, here is where I get to the drastic stuff. Semi-limits Diabellstar the Dark Witch. I know it's a bit of a consistent hit, but, you know, at least whittle down Snake Eyes a little bit. Now, here's my most toxic and most drastic measure. Ban Snake Eyes Oak. Now, you might be wondering, why Snake Eyes Oak? Why not Snake Eyes Ash? Because you don't want to kill the deck, right? Snake Eyes is a deck that people like, people love. I'm one of the people who actually like the Snake Eyes deck. I like the design. I love the play style. But you don't want to kill it. You want to kind of like handicap it like tier limits where they either ban Kit Close or, you know, limit every single thing to where it's like, you know, a much more, let's just say, like a skinned down version of what it used to be. So I think if you ban Snake Eyes Oak, it kills, you know, like the ceiling of the deck a little bit, and we have these consistency hits. I think Snake Eyes is a little bit more fair. It might still be like the best deck around, but it's not like overwhelmingly like, oh yeah, this is the best deck, and if you don't go into a tournament or if you're not playing this deck, you're pretty much just losing. So if you ban Snake Eyes Oak, I think that's the biggest drastic measure. And I also think Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't want to be playing Snake Eyes forever like how they did in Tier Limit. So I think banning Snake Eyes Oak is a pretty good play. Next up is a Flamberge Dragon. I say hit it to 1. If you hit it to 1, you know, it's harder to play around Nibiru. It, you know, doesn't make the deck too great. If you hit it to 1, I think it makes the deck, you know, also kind of lowers down the ceiling so it can be baseline with everything else. So I think Snake Eyes Flamberge, pretty good hit at 1. Next up is Bonfire, concluding our Snake Eyes hits. I think we should limit it. Bonfire is pretty much the Rhoda for Power Monster, so I think limiting it is pretty good. Having it at 3 is just way too cracked. It helps consistency crazy amount. So even if they don't have one Snake Eye Ash, having 3 Bonfires is just pretty much 3 extra Snake Eyes Ash, or, you know, extra versions of Popular. So I think you should just limit it to 1. Rhoda's at 1, and Rhoda's already a really great card. If Rhoda was at 3, I think people would realize how powerful warrior decks are, and I think if we keep Bonfire at 3 forever, power decks are going to be pretty cracked in my opinion. Next up is Sprite Elf, talking about Master Duel changes. Let's just ban this. This card is too good. Even if Snake Eyes gets hit a lot, Sprite Elf is just going to help dramatically with the deck, and I think Sprite Elf is just too good of a card. Like, it's banned in the OCG and the TCG, just hit it. It's like, it's too good. It's evaded the ban list for too long. Just let it die. Next up is Anti-Spell Fragrance. I think this should also be banned because mainly it's not that big of a deal with Master Duel, even though I use it in some of my decks, you know, just to help me out when I'm running like a sub terror or something like that. I think Anti-Spell Fragrance is just like an unfun floodgate to one specific archetype, and that's Pendulum monsters. You can't activate Pendulum skills because of Anti-Spell Fragrance, and you can't set, you know, Pendulum skills because that's literally something you can't do. So it makes Pendulum decks unfun to play against if they have this card. And I mainly talk about the TCG here because, you know, it's at 1, and if you happen to open this card, or if you have a way to search this card out like a Labyrinth, you know, you're pretty much cooked. Like, you can't do anything about it because, you know, this one card pretty much defeats Pendulums. And even though people don't like Pendulums, I think it's a mechanic that Yu-Gi-Oh kind of has to respect, and, you know, let the Pendulums be alive. They're giving more support to Pendulums. Why not at least let it be like a playable archetype? Talking about Floodgates, let's talk about Dimensional Bearer. I think this should either be banned or limited because, like, in every format, there's going to be a fusion deck, there's going to be a synchro deck, there's going to be an Xyz deck, and this will always be a floodgate that people are going to use. Like, people still use it even in the Snake Eyes format because, you know, if there is a Pearly deck or if there is a branded deck like this, it can just pretty much shut down the Dormitory thing. The same thing with Voices Voice. Obviously, it's not the most popular one, but it's so versatile. You can put it into any deck going first, and it's just so good that I should think it should either be limited or banned. And the only reason I should think it should be limited is because, you know, you limit it, and then if it gets out of hand at 1, you ban it. But for right now, I'll give it some leniency and let's limit it. Next card I'm going to be talking about is Skill Drain. Now, Skill Drain, I don't know if it's that big of a deal in Master Duel, but it is in the TCG, and it's pretty annoying in the TCG. I think it should be banned or limited because, you know, Snake Eyes, you know, it's too good with playing Skill Drain. Snake Eyes is already just like a combo deck, and it can run Floodgates. Kind of crazy, and Skill Drain is like the main floodgate they use, so I think you should honestly just ban this card. Next up is Beatrice. Now, Beatrice is not yet a problem in the Master Duel or TCG, but Fiendsmith is around the corner for at least the TCG, and when that set releases, Beatrice is going to be literally broken, and Beatrice is already kind of broken with the tier limits and the Horus cards, so well, mainly with the hero cards that they have malicious at, you know, 3. I think they should be banned. Let's get in the way. Let's ban Beatrice already. For the Master Duel, they can wait for Fiendsmith, but, you know, for at least the TCG, let's ban it because it's too good of a card. Honestly, it's too broken, and it's not like Dante and the Burning Abyss archetype even have players anymore, except for, you know, Farfa, but, you know, no one plays this deck anymore, so at least just ban it because no one cares if this card gets banned, and I'm pretty sure the Burning Abyss players don't care if this gets banned because it's already a broken card and it's already going to be abused. It's already being abused in the OCG, so let's step out in front of it before it becomes a problem. Now, next up is King Sarcophagus. Now, this might just be one of my biases, but put it at 1. It's a little too good. It's Horus is way too splashable and stuff, and, you know, having send 4 in any deck is crazy. Maybe it's just me. I think even though Horus is beatable, I think this one card is a little too crazy. I think pure Horus is not that like amazing of a deck, but Horus and like tier limits, Horus and every other deck is so broken, and the main reason is because of King Sark. So I think limited, because, you know, at least dealing it with one time is good, but then like it gets back to the turn, and like being able to use again is insane. Next up is, you know, like Rescue Ace, because Rescue Ace hasn't been hit in Master Duel, so just limit it. It's like semi-limited in the OCG and limited in the TCG, so just limit it. I'm not too informed in the Rescue Ace. I just know this is limited in both versions, and Rescue Ace is not that big of a deal, so I guess limited at this point. Next up is Monkey Board. I think you unlimited. I think it's already unlimited in Master Duel, but it's not unlimited in the TCG, and I'm just saying everyone unlimited Monkey Board because it's a good card and it's not so broken that it's going to break the whole entire meta. So that's it. But the final card is Pot of Greed. Now, limited. Give us one Pot of Greed. Now you might be saying, Pot of Greed's too good. What does Pot of Greed even do? All those jokes, right? But I think Pot of Greed is honestly a card you can bring back. Now there's 2 reasons why you can bring back Pot of Greed. I'm going to go on a tangent on why Pot of Greed is not a broken card and why they shouldn't bring it back. Mainly, it's going to come down to the fact, you know, I think Pot of Greed is a card everyone loves, and I think Pot of Greed is a card that you should bring back. And let me get to the reasons. Number 1, it's not a game-changing card. If Pot of Greed comes back, there's not like a sudden deck that becomes like the new best deck because the Pot of Greed is back. Maybe some cards might like be able to abuse it. Maybe like some cards that can recycle the spell cards. But then at that point, that's the problem card, not Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed is just a really good generic spell card, and that shouldn't have to be changed because, you know, another card can recycle it, and if a card can recycle it, just ban that card. Number 2, it's a card everyone knows. Even people who don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Know Pot of Greed because Pot of Greed is honestly just iconic. So I think Pot of Greed should be limited to 1. It's not going to break any deck. No deck is going to be the newest card. It would add consistency to every single deck. Some decks I actually believe wouldn't even use Pot of Greed. Decks nowadays are so tightly knit that Pot of Greed, yes, it might get an extra slot. Maybe people will make accommodations for Pot of Greed to put it in. I honestly think you bring back Pot of Greed, the meta's not going to warp around it, and if it does, ban the card that's making the meta warp around it. Pot of Greed, please bring it back. This is probably the more like, you know, OG Yu-Gi-Oh fan talking inside of me to have like a cool card like this, but you know, they brought back a Change of Heart to 1, Monster Reborn's back, Regeki's at 3, Harpy's Feathers Dusters at 1. I think if we could bring back some of the OG fans, which they're trying to do for like GOAT format and all that type of stuff, and with the Rarity Collection too, I think bringing Pot of Greed to 1, test it out, let's see how good it is. I think if you bring Pot of Greed to 1, I think it's not going to do too much big of a difference. It's obviously going to give a bump to, you know, decks and its consistency. Now, if we bring back Graceful Charity back into the game, like, we're cooked. Graceful Charity is like a 10 times better card than Pot of Greed. So that's why I'm saying bring Pot of Greed back. Let's take that step. Let's bring some of the old fans back to bring with Pot of Greed. This is more of a marketing move than, you know, an actual like playable, like meta warping move. But bring Pot of Greed back, please. Please, I crafted in Master Duel. Please bring it back. I crafted in Master Duel for the event. Please bring it back. Either way, this is my perfect ban list. Let me know down in the comments what you think of my perfect ban list. Let me know what you guys think should be added to this ban list to be like even more perfect. Let me know down in the comments down below. Hope to see you guys next time. And the reason I've been gone for so long is I have another channel where I talk about movies and TV shows. So go watch that other channel if you're unaware that I even have another channel. And the reason why I haven't been uploading here is because I've been focusing on the other channel. So I hope you enjoy and hope to see you guys next time. Later. Peace.